Welcome back, Cage Junkies. We're here with UFC veteran, Ultimate Fighter veteran, and top now welterweight coming out of Florida, Rich Antonito. Rich, how are you doing today?
I'm good. What's happening, Charles?
So, Rich, you're fighting in UFC this weekend. This is going to be your first time making a big weight cut. What weight class are you fighting at?
I'm fighting at 170 pounds at welterweight. I used to fight at middleweight, so my first time down at this weight class. I'm excited.
What are you doing differently to get your body to transform from a middleweight to a welterweight?
No pizza, no ice cream, no pancakes. Pretty much whole food diet. Clean foods. Not allowing myself the same liberties I had before, and that's pretty much it, man. It's worked out. A lot of hard training, get my weight down. I originally started at a small school in Jersey that's actually not around anymore. It was called Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and I got into doing that, and the curiosity to fight kind of followed, and started going to a boxing gym and a Muay Thai gym. This place, North Jersey Muay Thai, up in Jersey, is the best striking school around up there. If you're from Jersey, you should definitely go check it out. Tell Ray and Joe I sent you. I was there 2 years. I was training, and being I had to kind of bounce around a lot to get the different kind of training I needed, in all the aspects of fighting. After 2 years and having some success in the sport, I had an opportunity to come down to American Top Team because I ran into Laborio at a show in Atlantic City that I was fighting on, and they invited me down. And once I saw that, you had a place where you had all these things that I had to travel around for in one place, and you had a team full of guys who were all, had the same goals as myself, it made it a pretty easy decision to move down here because, it was just like a mecca of mixed martial arts to me, whereas up in Jersey, the places I was training were great, and I had a couple good partners, but not everybody was taking it as serious as as I was. So I made the decision to move down here in 2006, and it's been great. Been a life-changing experience. My brother trained a little bit. He wrestled in high school, and then he's done a little bit of jiu-jitsu and some boxing and stuff. So we used to mess around, especially after my fights. We always used to put the boxing gloves on, and we grew up with boxing, so we were big boxing fans, and so we put the gloves on after all my fights anyways, just to kind of have at it. And he kind of stopped training as much and doesn't really do it quite so much now. And I guess it wasn't as much fun for him to train with me anymore because I would be beating him up a lot easier than it used to be because he's a big boy. He's my younger brother, but he's like 6'2". He's over 200 pounds, so he's not really a little brother. He's just younger. I've been training a lot with actually Jason High was in town, which was great. Transition from my opponent being a striker to a grappler and a southpaw. Training with Dan Kramer, Ryan Thomas. There's so many guys that I feel bad because I probably forget a lot of them. I can't even think of them off the top of my head. There's so many. But I've been getting really good training in. And I was training a lot with George Masvidal, who just had a big win in Strikeforce. Me and him were putting in a lot of work together. And it's been good, man. I've been getting great training. That's why I'm down here in Florida because, American Top Team has all those great fighters, great athletes, and training partners. And there's so many of them I can't even remember. Man, I was working a lot with Howard Davis exclusively for, 5 years. Working on my boxing a lot. I felt like the boxing was an important element of my training. I started my striking training formally with boxing. And to learn from a guy like Howard at his level and his expertise, you couldn't beat it. So he got my hands to what they are now, my striking and my, my movement, my footwork, my head movement, all those things, and my approach to fighting as well. So I put a lot of work in with him, a lot of work with Cattell, striking coach at ATT, Muay Thai coach from Brazil, Macahon, who is a great Muay Thai coach. Doesn't speak a whole lot of English, but we communicate just fine, and he helped me out a lot. Same with Feifei. And as far as my ground training, Pahumpa and Ricardo Laborio have been great to me. They always help me out. and Kami, wrestling coach. All those guys have put a lot of work in with me and helped me get to where I am. And there's been coaches in the past who've come and gone, and training partners in the past that have come and gone that have helped me get to this point as well. So, I'm grateful for everyone I've had the, ability to work with. I just turned 34 on June 16th.
What would you advise a young up-and-coming fighter so that they could avoid some of the trials and tribulations that you went through?
Yeah, man, some of these young guys are coming in and they don't even know about the movie Back to the Future. You start dropping lines from 80s movies and they're lost, and then you tell them the movie and they're like, I've heard of it. So, yeah, there's some young bucks in there now, and, the advice I could give to them is really take your time, make sure you don't rush into, fighting as far as being too eager to start fighting professionally. If you've been training from a young age, then obviously you're in a different position than somebody who might just be getting into it and trying to jump into the mix a little too early. Sometimes I see guys who are maybe only training a year or two, and then they start trying to fight, and maybe some of the skills that they should have aren't there before they start fighting. And, I would just say, if you're young, you have a lot of time. If you're like 18, 19 years old, you have a lot of time to work and develop skills, and really hone your craft before you need to jump in there, especially professionally. I mean, you should get involved with grappling tournaments. If you have an opportunity to wrestle in high school or college, do it. Organized wrestling is something that's not easy to come by once you're out of that high school and college arena. You don't find it really anywhere. So if you can get some organized wrestling in, I absolutely stress the importance of being able to wrestle on a high school team and a college team if you're fortunate enough to be able to take it to that level, and put those kind of trainings in and years of work to develop really solid skills, so that at the time when you do start fighting, especially professionally, you're not going to start taking losses in areas that you're weak in just from being inexperienced and unskilled from lack of time training, and then all of a sudden you're looking at having a record that's slanted with way more losses than wins, and you got this, pit to kind of pull yourself out of. And I see guys do that to themselves. Also, I see young fighters sometimes taking fights that they maybe shouldn't be taking at that time. They want to, they kind of got that like macho attitude a little bit, like, oh, I'll fight anybody, whatever. I mean, that's not really the most intelligent approach to have. If you really have respect for the sport, especially if you follow the sport, there's some scary individuals out there, and you shouldn't be so willing to just jump in the middle of a cage with some of them, until you're ready. When you're ready, then absolutely, by all means. But I see young fighters kind of jumping into fights too fast and trying to take it, trying to rush into it. Just take your time, man. That's the most important thing I could stress.
So I know that this fighter that you're fighting now is a last-minute replacement for your original fighter, Matt Brown. What can we expect to see coming out of this fight, and what would you like to be able to pull off so that you feel like you've gotten what you've been working on in your training camp to come through in the fight?
This fight obviously changed up the dynamic a little bit between the fighters, but in my training camp, I mean, we just had to kind of adjust to fighting a southpaw now instead of a right-handed, taller opponent. I'm fighting a shorter southpaw and a guy who likes to, take you down and ground you versus a guy who wants to bang it out on his feet, and he's equally dangerous on the ground. But, so that kind of changes the approach to the fight a little bit. But, my training camp has been great. I train everywhere the fight can go, so I'm not, worried about the last-minute switch-up, and I'm ready to go do my thing, man.
Nick Diaz, George St. Pierre, how do you see the fight going in your professional opinion?
I see a very game Nick Diaz trying to take it to George St. Pierre, and I see George, doing what he does and kind of working his takedowns and, maybe kind of canceling out the threats that Nick opposes with, good neutralizing wrestling. I'd love if, George stayed on his feet and tried to bang it out with him a little bit, but I don't think he'll do that. And, I just kind of see the fight going that way. And hopefully Nick, when he ends up on the ground, he'll be able to offer up some real submission threats to kind of keep the fight, interesting, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. I mean, I got tons of respect for both those guys. They're unbelievable fighters, and I think it's amazing what they do. But stylistically, I think Nick doesn't really have the same wrestling skill set that George does. So garbage truck. Hold on, garbage truck. That could be the difference maker. You've seen that before in the past, and it could be the difference maker. So I kind of see that as maybe what could happen.
What's your favorite '80s flick?
Favorite '80s movie? God, man, there's a lot of them. It's not really fair. I was watching Young Guns was on 1 and 2 not too long ago, and then like Midnight Run was on, and there's too many of them, man. Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Star Wars trilogy, like all those movies are just sick. I don't even know if they make them like that anymore. But there's too many. I can't really say that I would name one favorite.
Okay, Cage Junkies. So we're here with Rich Antonito signing off. And, Rich, we really look forward to watching your path to the welterweight world title. Good luck in your fight on Sunday, and we look to keep following you throughout your career.
Thank you, Chainsaw. Ying, ying, ying.